Good afternoon, everybody. We're going on to the 12th year of the Afghanistan war. 12 years of war. $10 billion a month. We had a sequester of $85 billion from the budget. That's only 8 months of the war. It's amazing how we have 2 more years to go. 2 more years of $10 billion a month. This is unbelievable. Afghans are getting killed, American soldiers are getting killed, and in the end, 2014, we're going to be pulling out of Afghanistan. We did that in Iraq last year. Iraq, we left last year. What happened? 4,000 American soldiers were killed.
How many Iraqis?
Many Iraqis have been killed. And not only that, they were refugees were forced into other countries. It's unbelievable how the American military has destroyed a country. Then we're destroying Afghanistan. And remember the weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction? We went into Iraq. There were no weapons of mass destruction. That was a big lie. Now what are we hearing? Iraq and the nuclear bomb, Iraq and nuclear bomb, and Iraq and the nuclear bomb.
Changed it into Iran.
We moved Iran into Iran. We're going to Iraq, Iran. Imagine the soldiers, 4 and 5 tours. There's a lot higher rate of suicide in the military right now, the active military. 345 soldiers killed themselves last year. That is only the people who are successful. How many soldiers were unsuccessful? There were probably thousands of them unsuccessful. Where the war goes on and on, we come right down to the military budget. Where are we spending the money? Building aircraft carriers? What is that going to do in our country? Well, we need health care, housing. We have to spend the money here in the United States. What are we having soldiers in Germany for? What are we having soldiers in Japan for? It's the U.S. empire. All that money is being spent on the military. And you know what the Bible says? You live by the sword, you die by the sword. So let's bring the money home, bring the soldiers home. And you come to the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Peace Parade, 2 o'clock in South Boston, Broadway Station. We're going to march for peace. There's other vigils going on in the city. Copley Square, Tuesday, 5:30 to 6:30. Wednesday, we're at Bradley Manning Square at Central Square, 5 to 6. Come out and help Bradley Manning. He's been in jail for over 1,000 days with no trial. He finally was put up on a hearing the other day, and he pleaded guilty for giving out the information. But as they say, my dentist says, fight truth decay. And this is what he did. He was telling us the truth, and he's in jail. We can drone on and on about the military foreign policy of Obama, which is an abomination. It's an abomination. How many nations is he bombing with the drones? Let's get out there, folks. That's how we ended the Vietnam War, by protesting against the government. Out in the street, 100,000 people showed up at Boston Common here to end the war in Vietnam. That's the only way you're going to do it. The politicians are tied up with the military-industrial complex, and they're getting their campaign contributions from those guys to keep the war going. It's destroying the country. Wake up, folks. Maybe we should say take a nap, right, John? Because we're working 2 jobs, right? Take a nap. Okay. Everybody get out there. Get out and let the politicians know by being out in the street. Thank you very much.
That is the only ones that have the drones, but other countries have the drones too. And so if we have them, other people have to have it. And there's a recent article in the Lowdown, Jim Hightower's publication, where he talks about drones. And he says that in the near future, there's a projection that we could have something like 300,000 drones flying in the air at any one time, which is, I think, kind of a scary thing. We had somebody in our group, she's not here today, but went to Pakistan and was part of the Code Pink delegation to call attention to the civilian suffering from drones in Pakistan. And they met with people there who described these low-flying devices hovering over them all the time. And the constant fear that people live in under that these drones are at any point in time going to release weapons and attack them. And that people don't want to go to weddings, they don't want to go to funerals, they don't want to let their kids go to school because of this terror of being under attack. And very insidious to the culture and to just a human inclination in general, this policy of attacking people, and then if someone comes to the rescue, then they're attacked too. And they wait up until 6 hours to continue attacking any 6 to 12 hours somebody who might come to the rescue of someone who's been targeted and killed or injured by these drone attacks. If you listen to Democracy Now! Yesterday, Amy Goodman was talking about WikiLeaks and Bradley Manning having release tapes where they showed attacking of civilians and how it's somebody calls into the command center and the command center authorizes the attack. But it is as was stated earlier, very cowardly. And also this sign behind us that says "Quit the Empire." It's American exceptionalism. Certainly, we wouldn't put up with another country flying drones over us with warrantless killing and attacking. So it is something for us to stand up against. In April, there will be actions all across the country against these drone attacks. You might look for UNAC or United for Justice and Peace for how you can join in. Thank you.
Sentence that I heard today having to do with the Oscars. So there's these, I think, Academy Awards for motion pictures for movies called the Oscars that took place. And one of the winners of the Oscars was the film Argo, which depicts the military and CIA operation that took place in Iran as being very meritorious. I'd like to point out that the Shah of Iran, that dictator, was put in by the CIA. I'd like to point out that the CIA is part of the American attacks around the world, where they kidnap, torture, and kill people, such as Dr. Afia Siddiqui, who was kidnapped in Afghanistan, held for years, her children taken away, she was tortured, she was rendered by the CIA. That's what the CIA does, it renders people. It does all sorts of dirty tricks in support of the U.S. empire. And this CIA is what was praised in the movie Argo. Here is what the Iranian cultural minister had to say. And this is a sentence I want to point out. He said, "The Americans seek to continue their political hegemony through culture and art." And the word is hegemony. I'm going to read it again. The Americans seek to continue their political hegemony through the use of culture and art. Culture and art. What that means is Hollywood has now become an arm of the empire. Whether it's Zero Dark 30 or a movie like Argo, Hollywood has become and always was an arm of the empire. So that as we are out here taking on a particular part of the structure of dominant European American capitalism around the world, the United States and its wars, we should remember that the hegemony that the United States seeks to continue through cultural, political, educational, artistic, and every other means is actually depriving people of the needs that they need to continue their lives. Whether it's here in Boston, as we find more and more levels of austerity with people not having the money to continue their lives because it's all going to the banks, because hunger is widespread, because medical services are being cut with fewer and fewer nurses and more on the cheap. As these things continue, as we have the economic sanctions around the world, as we have the United States sending diplomats and frankly evildoers such as Bill Clinton to strangle Haiti, promising billions of dollars and delivering essentially nothing. As we do all these things, we have to not just look at the warfare. As Steve said, it is not simply that we're anti-war, but we're in favor of peace. And what peace means is not the absence of war. Peace means when people have the security that we all need to continue our lives. Peace means when we, the people and all people, have the security of food, housing, medicine, our own homes and places, that we need to continue our lives. That's what peace is. It's not the absence of war. So that's why it is that I'm against the wars and the capitalism and the banks and the prison industrial complex and the whole situation that we see, whereby our culture is being more and more permeated by prison culture, warfare culture, and acceptance of the austerity and frankly class warfare that's taking place these days. Thank you very much. Once again, the word from that discussion of the movie Argo is hegemony.